Hello, everybody. Welcome to Calf Kick MMA Pod. We are the Calf Kick Bros, and we talk all things UFC. We talk about Bellator UFC. We talk about Rising UFC. We talk about UFC. And I'm Jamie, and my compadre on the other side of the screen is the Creole. Creole, you ready to talk some UFC?
Hello. I'm
Classic,
very ready.
classic Creole. Hello. But anyway, tonight we have a big, pretty good fight with Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. We previewed this card last week, so if you want to listen to that, go check that out. Creole, has this week with the weigh-ins and anything changed? Any opinion on this card, or what you think?
I'm a huge fan of Kevin Holland now. Super entertaining. I'm pretty sure I watched like 5 hours of interviews with him. He is just entertaining, great to watch. Doing the weigh-ins, he was just joking around, doing cartwheels. Like he's just having fun out there.
Also,
he's just great.
Yeah, doing a little research, and I think Kevin Holland may be the hardest hitter at middleweight. Dude has dynamite in his hands.
He had a great showing with if you ever seen the Buckley fight.
Oh yeah.
Like that was a damn good fight.
Yeah. And he talks constantly. I mean, turn your TV up when he's fighting because he's saying some crazy stuff, having full conversations with his opponents. It's pretty funny. Big mouth.
It's great because if you ever hear if you hear Dana White's story on how he got into the UFC, nobody would fight Santos at middleweight.
Oh yeah, so he wound up,
and he wound up calling him, and he took it, and then they had a war.
Yeah,
while he talked the whole entire time because Dana White really didn't like him at all.
Yeah,
and I was like, holy.
Watched some big mouth highlights, and he was like, "Man, you hit hard." He was like under him, like in guard, like, "Man, you hit hard." I know nobody wants to fight you now. It was pretty funny, but yeah. I think Kevin Holland's going to get a big win tonight and advance in the middleweight division. What do you think? I think the winner of this fight has a good chance of meeting the winner of a card in a couple weeks. We got Till and Vettori, and we got Whitaker and Gastelum coming up. So 3 pretty much big middleweight main events in a row. So we kind of got a tournament going on. I would think the winner of Whitaker and Gastelum would be next for Adesanya, but Adesanya has no desire for rematches for some reason. Have you seen
that? I didn't see it. I just remember that he really wants to fight Till. He's like, Till's the only one I haven't fought
yet.
He
says as long as Till wins, beats Vettori, he's getting the title shot.
Yeah. Like, what?
I think the winner of Whitaker and Gastelum should be next in line because just some great rematches there.
But, we can wait for it. Whitaker's always going to be there. He's always going to, like, they fought 3 times already. I mean, twice already.
No, they haven't. They fought once. Whitaker and Adesanya's fought once.
Who am I thinking about then?
I don't know. Adesanya doesn't do rematches. No, he hasn't rematched anybody. But he really wants to fight Till. And so it seems like the winner of Brunson and Holland tonight probably going to fight the winner of Whitaker and Gastelum in a big number 1 contender fight. Because it seems like Till and Vettori, the winner of that, is going to advance to the championship fight.
I know that Holland and Izzy have like beef.
Right. But Izzy thinks he's way below his level and is not interested. Yeah. Thinks he has a lot of more work to do. And also, the Whitaker-Gastelum fight, Gastelum's taking this on short notice because it was supposed to be Paulo Costa. So I think we get a much better fight with Whitaker and Gastelum. I'm looking forward to
it. It's funny because that Till accepted that fight with Pablo Costa because he has like a lot of remnants of Yoel Romero, and Till feared Yoel Romero. Like he straight up said, have you ever seen that interview?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about now. I had to think about it for a second, but yeah. He was like, I do not want no piece of Yoel Romero. Yeah.
No part of this man.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking past Derek Brunson. I'm not the biggest Derek Brunson fan, but But like he's on a 3-fight win streak right now.
Yeah, he's a spoiler for sure.
Just he falls in that gatekeeper category for some reason. But every time people overlook him, he winds up winning.
Yeah, he really needs to make this an ugly fight. Press him against the cage, takedowns. But man, Holland has just been successful everywhere. He's in guard, he knocks people out. He's in the clinch, he just keeps stalking until he works his way out. He's this fight's gonna be interesting for sure.
We'll see how Brunson implements the takedowns in the wrestling, because that's one thing that he's not good at. Holland said like he has trouble on the ground.
Right.
But he's been
punches his way out.
Yeah.
Dude hits hard. I think he's the hardest hitting middleweight right now, which is a big time, compliment towards him. But from what I've seen, knocking Jacare out from guard is like every time he hit Jacare would flinch and he would react every single punch. It was crazy.
If I would have saw that fight live, I probably would be hating Kevin Holland right now.
Yeah, I didn't watch it live either, but it's on YouTube right now. You can go check it out. And anyway, moving on, announced this week was for UFC 261, April 24th in Jacksonville, Florida. The Usman versus Masvidal is official. It'll be the main event of that card, and it'll have a full crowd. Everybody in Florida coming. So that's gonna be nuts.
I thought they were gonna do it in Texas, but
yeah, me too.
Texas was like, no. like we're gonna see how this
it's going down. But yeah, we also have Shevchenko versus Andrade and Weidman versus Namajunas. Keep big time fight card right there. That's some good fights.
Who do you got with Andrade and Shevchenko?
Well, you'll have to wait till our preview show in a few weeks when we break that card. We're just announcing some fights right now for real.
261. 261 is going to be great.
Yeah. Another big time middleweight match announced for that fight card: Weidman versus Hall. Uriah Hall just got a big win over Anderson Silva. Chris Weidman's kind of been, staying afloat kind of in the UFC. If he loses this one, he's probably going to Bellator.
Yeah. When you said Chris Weidman, I was like, he's still in the UFC?
Yeah, and this will be a rematch. Weidman knocked out Hall before their UFC days. Yep. So pretty good fight card coming at you in April. Usman, Masvidal. That means Covington is definitely open now for that matchup we were talking about last week. Matching him up with who was last week?
Usman or
no. Leon Edwards. So Leon Edwards, Covington seems like the matchup to make. I still don't think they're going to do that rematch with Muhammad. And so make a big time number one contender fight with Covington Edwards.
Leon's so looking past Muhammad. Like he's like, I was winning, like same result. Like except I would have knocked him out or something. Leon wants nothing to do to fight up Bilal Muhammad again. He's like, yeah, like let's go to the next phase. Yeah. And Muhammad's like campaigning that it'd be a rematch.
Oh yeah, well that's his big fight. He wants his big fight. He wants his main event, and unfortunately, it ended in that eye poke. But that was last episode, so let's keep on a trucking, because also announced at UFC 262 in May, we have Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler, and it is for the World Lightweight Championship.
Khabib retired Thursday.
Yes, also Khabib finally announced his retirement. Dana White's given up the hunt for the illustrious Khabib, and we are moving on with life. And apparently, the fight to make is Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira has a win over recently Tony Ferguson, and then he beat who'd he beat? Man, I'm blanking today. Should drink more coffee. You know who I'm talking about. Tony Ferguson, I guess. We'll just talk about Tony
Yeah.
Ferguson. Charles Oliveira just beat Tony Ferguson, destroyed him. And let me go to his record. I'm very angry. Kevin Lee. He beat Kevin Lee at the beginning of 2020.
He beat Kevin Lee.
He beat Tony.
Wow.
I was like, this is your dude. You talk about him all the time. He beat Kevin Lee with guillotine choke at the beginning of 2020, and then he beat Tony Ferguson at the end of 2020. So 2 impressive wins, but Kevin Lee honestly hasn't, he's been hit or miss. And Tony Ferguson just lost to Justin Gaethje, so he's coming off a loss. I don't think his body's been looking the same in 2020. And Michael Chandler just debuted, knocking out Dan Hooker.
Which Dan Hooker it's super weird that Michael Chandler's fighting for the title since
that's real weird.
Dan Hooker was like number 6 or 7.
Yeah, and he lost to Poirier. He beat a short notice replacement Paul Felder. He beat him 2 decision, so not the most impressive win, and then gets knocked out by Chandler, and now all of a sudden he's fighting for the world championship. We got guys just, Tony Ferguson, 12-fight win streak, Dustin Poirier on a tear, been in UFC for years and years and years. Michael Chandler knocks out ranked number 7 or something in the title shot. So you can tell we're not the most excited for this fight. I'm glad we're moving on from Khabib because it was ridiculous for Dana to be chasing Khabib, but the title fight should have been McGregor and Poirier a few months ago. It's ridiculous. We were chasing Khabib for this long, and now neither man is fighting for the world title. But we know who the real champ is. It's Dustin Poirier. He's the real lightweight champ. So the winner, wolf tickets, as Nick Diaz says. We're selling wolf tickets for this fight. The UFC needed a main event for UFC 262. We have a vacant lightweight champion. So throw it on this card. Throw Oliveira and Chandler together. Wolf tickets. What you think?
It just seemed like they just want to hurry up and crown a champion to get it moving. It's a weird matchup. I literally have no idea who's gonna win this. But it's a very, very, very weird matchup. But I understand why it's happening. Just get the lightweight division moving again.
Right. Yeah. Just get a championship on somebody, and then we have kind of a path to the championship now.
The only person that really gets messed over is really is Justin Gaethje, but
Gaethje. Yeah, it should have been Chandler versus Gaethje for the world title, in my opinion.
Gaethje does an interview and was like, I don't know, they just overlooked me. It's garbage. Ali, Justin Gaethje's manager, was like, this is bull crap. Justin Gaethje should be fighting for the title.
For sure. And it was rumored that Chandler and Gaethje was the fight in the making. Now all of a sudden it's Oliveira and Chandler, which still going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good main event. I'm very interested to see, it's grappler versus striker pretty much, but Oliveira striking has been looking really good. He's long. He's going to give Chandler problems.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's it. It's ridiculous, but I understand it. Yeah,
we're just moving on from the division. We know who the real champ is, people. It's Dustin Poirier. Yeah, I guess him and Connor's going to fight probably end of July, August. Negotiations seem to be going, back and forth.
Probably that July 4th weekend.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But hopefully the same outcome happens. And Dustin Poirier win doesn't get overshadowed if he loses to McGregor. But
right.
Hopefully it's the same outcome and Dustin Poirier with another TKO.
Yup, and then he will be fighting. This is pretty much a tournament now. We have Oliveira Chandler, and the winner of that's going to fight Poirier McGregor. I don't see how that's not, the way it goes. That's kind of the mini bracket. Dustin Poirier's going to get the big money fight and then cash in and get the strap too.
I thought what would have been cool was cool if they just had a one-night tournament. If they just would have waited 6 months to crown a champion, and they would have put the top 6 in there, and they all would have fought. That would have been pretty interesting. But I remember Bellator's last tournament,
when they tried it one night.
Yeah, and like the alternate one, like everybody was injured.
That's what usually happens is whoever's the alternate gets put in one. I don't remember if the alternate won. Who did win that? Was it Phil Davis got injured? We'd have to go back. That was some years ago. Yeah,
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Also announced the return of TJ Dillashaw returning against Corey Sandhagen for May 8th.
I hope
so Dillashaw is back.
Kill him. I hope Sandhagen kills him. Like
I don't see how Dillashaw is going to compete with Sandhagen being out for 2 years. He should have, he wants to get right back in the title fight, fighting a monster like Sandhagen. Good luck.
And it's wild because like Dana White's letting him like come back, and it's like, yo, he should be not ranked. He should be
right.
Fight. He should be like fighting 5 times where he thinks about getting a title shot.
Yep. But that's not how they want to do it. Dillashaw right back in the mix. He's going to want to use his wrestling against Sandhagen. That's his avenue to victory in that fight. But anyway, let's get on with it to the main part of our show where we preview UFC 260, Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou, the rematch. Biggest, baddest rematch in UFC history. I think it's being promoted as you can see by the poster. And we got, oh my goodness, hold on. All right, and we're back. UFC 260. Had to take a pause for the calls, but we're back. Stipe versus Francis. We got Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega, Tyrone Woodley, Vicente Luque, and the return of Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. Those are the big fights of this card. Where do you want to start? Top or bottom? Creole prelims or main card first?
We can do main card.
Main card. All right. Well, let's start from the very tip top. Miocic versus Ngannou. What are your early thoughts on this rematch? A week after.
I'm going for Francis Ngannou. We need new blood for the heavyweight champion. I know that's what Dana White wants. I know that's what everybody else wants. Not looking past Stipe at all. Stipe showed us that he had so much reservation and will to keep going in that Francis Ngannou fight. But yeah, hopefully Francis gets it and we get a new face for the belt.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. Stipe and Francis first fought. What year was that? Let's see. Good grief. 2018, so 3 years ago. And Stipe's been in some wars since. He took a tremendous amount of damage in that first Francis fight. And Francis, came out like a freight train, just pursuing with reckless abandon, landing big bombs. And Stipe survived and kind of wrestled out a decision. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, the rematch. Francis is going to have to calm down, pick his shots. Miocic looked really good in the last fight against Cormier. He's coming back relatively fast to how Stipe usually waits about a year, seemingly. But, this is a very interesting matchup.
I think if Stipe loses, I think he's done. I think he becomes like a full-time firefighter or something. And just like runs for mayor in where he's from, Michigan.
He might pursue a trilogy. It will just be 1-1 at that point. So he might look for a trilogy fight. But what Francis is only winning this fight by one way, and that's vicious KO. So it depend on how Stipe feels after a devastating loss. But Stipe could very well, come in with some sharp boxing, good head movement. He was really lightweight in the last DC fight, really mobile. So if he comes in exactly like he came against DC, I mean, tip-top shape, he can go 5 rounds. And there's a way to win for Stipe for sure. But man, is it a tall order against Mr. Ngannou.
What Francis Ngannou had, like, he lost against Stipe, Then he had a terrible fight with Derek Lewis, and then after that he started picking it back up.
Yeah, I think he actually got like a sports coach or something. I don't know, like a mentality coach or something. But he fixed whatever was wrong with him. After the Stipe fight, he kind of, I don't know if he didn't know his place in the sport or felt like he couldn't do it no more, but he had a real bad fight against Derek Lewis. It also could have been the power of Derek Lewis. They didn't want to take any risk in that fight, but Ngannou, after that fight, he cleared things up, and he's just been on a streak, annihilating Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos, most recently Rosenstruck, and
he just ran
in there too. I mean, he ran through 4 of the elite heavyweights.
He ran through Rosenthal.
Rosenstruck.
Yeah, Rosenstruck. He just ran straight at him. That was
literally like ran through
20-second fight.
Yeah. The longest fight in that streak is 1 minute 11 seconds against Dos Santos, and he just melted Dos Santos. I mean, that's a really good streak. Good luck to Stipe. Let's I guess so we can make a pick. You already kind of said your pick. You going with Ngannou?
Yeah.
Yep. I will have to agree. I'm thinking new champ, Ngannou, probably first round. We'll have to see how Stipe's chin is holding up 3 years later. Like I said, there is a way to victory if he comes in tip-top shape, looks real crisp. But, man, he almost has to have a perfect fight.
Yeah.
I don't think he can make the same mistakes he did in the first fight where he took so many shots in the first round. This time, Francis, I would think, is going to come in cool, calm, and collected and pick his shots and kind of combining it with the bull rush strategy where he doesn't fatigue out, in the first round this time. But I'm going Ngannou, new champ.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to beat Ngannou.
If Ngannou wins and if they don't do a straight up rematch, who would be next?
Next, John Jones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
We've already announced it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll be like front row in the building by cage. I would love to see Jones versus Derek Lewis fight it out for the number 1 contender because Derek Lewis, don't sleep on my man Derek Lewis.
I don't want to see that fight.
He could easily wind up with a strap. I want to see that fight. I want to see every Derek Lewis fight. Every one of them. I want to see him fight Jones, Stipe, Ngannou, bring them all on.
You are his like worst enemy right now. He doesn't want any of that.
Okay, mess around. Derek Lewis is gonna be champ in a few years.
Derek Lewis over there campaigning to bring back Alistair Overeem. So he's like, I want to fight Alistair. He's not in the UFC anymore. We'll bring back.
He had an interview earlier this week. Derek Lewis. Was that on Joe Rogan? It may have been the JRE, but he said he wanted to fight. He doesn't have that much time left. He's older. His back has problems, knees have problems. He wants as many fights as he can to, cash out. While he can still sleep people with one punch.
I really like Derek Lewis. It's just like UFC pays me enough money. I'm cool with my $200,000-$300,000. Like that's it. Like he wants to just sell off in the sunset. He's like, I really don't care about being the champion.
Right. Yep. But we'll see Jones versus the winner of this heavyweight fight. So next up, we got Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega for the featherweight championship of the world. What are your opening thoughts?
Let me see. Who's the last person? Do you remember who's the last person Brian Ortega fought?
Brian Ortega just demolished the Korean Zombie in a 5-round classic. He just pieced him up. Looked phenomenal. And
Volkanovski just came off back-to-back wins against Max Holloway.
Yep, Max Holloway, which I thought Max Holloway won the rematch, but judges did not give him that decision. The first round, Max Holloway looked like he did in his last fight, like best. I'm the best boxer in the world. That Max Holloway. I mean, that first round, he was doing work on Volkanovski. But Volkanovski made adjustments. He definitely made it a fight and, eked out some rounds. I think one round, pretty convincingly, but I thought Max Holloway won the rematch. Judges did not see it that way. What'd you think of that fight?
From what I remember like vividly that Max Holloway won the first round. And somewhere down the line, I guess in the second or third round, Volkanovski started like adapting.
Yeah,
it was a really
leg kicks and then takedowns.
It was I just remember being a really close fight at the very end. So I remember not being upset about it. I was like, that sucks, but
right. Like, it was really close in the end. I still think Holloway should have squeaked it out, but he did not. The champ, there's that old saying. What's that old saying? The champ, you got to beat the champion or whatever. That's kind of how it felt. But yeah, but this is a really good matchup. Brian Ortega's looked phenomenal. He took 2 years off, came back and just destroyed the Korean Zombie. Both guys, top of their game. Yeah. What who you going with? This big time featherweight clash.
This is I don't know.
Yeah, this is a hard one.
Yeah, this is the hardest one on here.
Yeah, very good matchup.
Just because Brian Ortega had put on a killing against Korean Zombie, I'm going for him. It was even though I did see an interview with Brian Ortega, and he's like, I really want to avenge that Max Holloway fight. So I think even if he wins, Max Holloway should be the next person he fights. He really wants to fight Max Holloway again.
Right. Yep. And Ortega's, is on a mission. He seems very confident, very driven to get that. So I'm going Ortega as well. Volkanovski is no joke, but he is pretty short. I just watched him fight the Chad Mendes fight. They're the exact same height. They're almost like twins. He's very patient. He's got a real good game. I mean, it's going to be tough. I'm thinking Ortega, though, taller, rangier, great jiu-jitsu. If Volkanovski has to switch to the wrestling like he did Holloway, Ortega's going to have an answer for that. So, yeah, I'm going Ortega.
Yeah.
I think he has the answers for Volkanovski. And then we'll see Holloway, Ortega 2 later this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great rematch.
Next.
Tyrone Woodley versus Vicente Luque. Woodley has not been looking too great.
I think he lost. Tyrone Woodley's lost 15 rounds in a row or something like that.
That would make sense.
Yeah, he's literally lost every. It's like Usman just took all the fighting spirit out of him.
Yeah.
I really. If he loses this, I don't see how they won't cut him.
Yeah, or if he loses this one, you gotta think retirement. I mean, he's working on 40. Let's see, Vicente Luque is 29, coming off a win against Randy Brown. So this is his biggest fight since he fought Stephen Thompson. He went the decision with Stephen Thompson. So just doing that is pretty spectacular. But Stephen looked good that fight. I remember that fight. That was back and forth. Really good fight. And Woodley, 3 losses in a row. Usman, Burns, Covington. That is the elite of the division, but he just hasn't looked competitive in any of those fights. Yeah, if he loses the Luque, he's 38. Probably time to hang it up.
I know that his last fight against Kobe Covington just went out there and just pressured him, pushed him against the fence and body punches. And I think it was the 3rd round that Woodley hurt his rib.
I think it was the last round. I think it was 5th round. It was just he just couldn't keep up with his pace. Yeah, 5th round, minute in the 5th round. Couldn't keep up with Covington's pace, the striking pace, the wrestling pace, just nothing. Just couldn't keep up with him at all.
That was a fight that took way too long to make. Like when they finally fought, the hype of them had already died.
Yeah.
I remember that was like the biggest rivalry of like 2018 or 19.
Yeah, that would have been a spectacular title fight.
Just every now and then UFC like fails on like just making that card.
Yep.
Just
timing. You got to push fights. Sometimes the timing doesn't work out, but when just kind of like the Jones Adesanya fight, they probably should have went ahead and booked that fight. Told Jones take a pause for the cause and go into heavyweight, take out Adesanya, then go to heavyweight, and because now Jones is beefing up. He's beefed up before and cut back down to 205, but I don't know. I don't think we see Jones at 205 again.
No, I think he's gonna make it a career at heavyweight now.
Yeah, he's older, 33. He'll be, fighting for the belt probably 34 or so. So older, gaining weight. I don't see him. He's crazy though. He has that mentality where he probably could get up to 260 and then drop back down 205. Jones, if there's anybody to do it, it's Jones, but I don't know. I don't think we see that fight anymore.
No.
All about timing. So you know much about Vicente Luque?
Not too much. I saw the Wonder Boy fight.
Yeah.
And I remember really liking that fight. Other than that,
yeah.
Other than that, like I got Vicente should win. Like, yeah,
he's in his prime. He's coming up. This is his big fight. It's his moment to shine right now. If he could finish Woodley, it'd be a big win because no one. His last fight he was finished from injury, but those three, he was fighting the top at elite, and they couldn't finish him. That is one thing to argue for with Woodley is he's not being finished. So if Vicente Luque could get a finish, it would be big time for his career. Still be a statement win, and would move him way up in the division. If Woodley wins, I don't know what would be after him if he beats Luque. I guess fight Burns again. I don't know.
If he wins, that just means like he got his motivation back to fight. But other than that, like
right, if he comes out there and starches Luque, I mean, then he can say, "I want my belt back, Rampage style," and he can fight Edwards. If Covington doesn't accept that fight, he could squeak in there and fight Edwards. They were matched up early in 2020. That fell through. That's when he had to fight Burns. So that's a potential fight. And if he was to squeak out that win, he'd be right back in Top Shot. So we're hating on him, wanting him to retire, but I mean, he's still 2 wins away from a title shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in that kind of just post-championship, working on kind of legend status, not legendary, but the Matt Hughes kind of post-title fight status where he's fighting kind of up-and-comers and stuff. So we get to see what he's made of in his old age. So we're both picking Luque.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I'm going with Luque as well. Next up, the return of Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. Interesting fight at bantamweight. Sean O'Malley got annihilated in his last fight against Marlon Vera. First round, elbow and punches. Looked like, I think he blamed it on an injury.
Yeah, it was like an ankle kick or something, and it just like messed him up.
Right, yeah. Was it a calf kick?
Yeah, it was a weird kick.
I don't remember. I think it was a calf kick, and then he's like, I blew my ankle out. And then he went to the doctor and it was fine or something. Something like that happened. Thomas Almeida, 29, on a big losing streak. He needs a big time win. I don't know who to pick in this one. This is a toss up. Yeah.
Seems like Sean O'Malley should win. Just I mean, I'm not looking forward to him winning. Like, I didn't like his attitude at all during his last fight. He came off as a super unlikable person.
Didn't handle it well. Doesn't handle losses well, it seems. Oh, Sean O'Malley. Has a
just pretty much
career going on as well. Big time streamer now. He's a weird dude.
He has a podcast.
I mean, he's got a lot going on with fighting. Yeah, young dude. How old is Sugar Sean? 26. So both in their 20s. They both need a big win. So
yeah. Just I know a lot of every time Sugar Shane O'Malley fights, a lot of eyes are on him. He's like Snoop Dogg's like best friend.
Yeah, I mean, had a spectacular performance in that Contender Series fight where he starts that guy and Snoop Dogg's, O'Malley, O'Malley. Once that happens, you're going viral. Snoop Dogg cheering you on. It's fun time. I guess I'll pick O'Malley. I don't even know. This fight's pretty hard to pick.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm even picking Sean O'Malley is because of Thomas Almeida's like losing streak. That's the only reason.
Yeah, he just hasn't looked good. O'Malley, lost to higher up in the division.
Yeah.
Who's Almeida been losing to? Let's see. Jonathan Martinez, Rob Font, and Jimmy Rivera. So pretty high up in the division. I don't know who Jonathan Martinez is. Oh, he's the guy Davey Grant just knocked out. So yeah, he was working his way up the division. Davey Grant, was his speed bump. But yeah, that's the lead of the division. Rivera, Font, and Martinez. So he's been losing pretty stiff competition. Lost to Cody Garbrandt. That was his first loss ever. Was that Cody Garbrandt KO? It was like 20-0, 20-0, 21-0, somewhere around there. This is a tough fight for O'Malley. Looking at who he's been losing to, Almeida's still a threat for sure. Who are you picking?
O'Malley? Yeah, O'Malley.
Yeah. All right, we're picking O'Malley. Enough of that fight. Don't know these two gentlemen that's on the main card. Kama Worthy and Jamie Malarkey. Interesting last name there. Do you know any of these fellers?
I do not. None at all. Malarkey doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
No. Worthy has fought 3 times in the UFC. Beat other names that I also don't know. Otman Azatar, I know him. Yeah, he's the bulldozer. But he beat Kama, so.
This will be his 4th fight in the UFC.
4th fight, 2-1 so far.
He's 16-7.
I don't know. I can't even make a pick for this fight. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we'll go Worthy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much for the rest of the card as well. Bunch of are you looking at it? What do you think of the rest of the card?
Yeah. Alonzo Menifield.
Yep.
Yeah, he actually just fought sometime last year. I remember his name, Menifield.
Yeah, he fought against St. Preux September 2020. Lost by KO. He's 2-2 in the UFC. Also has a win on the Contender Series though, so he's pretty much 3-2. And fighting another guy that doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Very interesting. So we're gonna have to really pay attention to these guys with no Wikipedia pages on this fight card. Learn something about them.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go over the names we do know on the rest of the card. We got Jessica Panay fighting a no Wikipedia page, Hannah Goldie. We have Abubakar Nagomedov. So one of Khabib's Russian clansmen who was involved in the Conor McGregor scrap. I think he either got punched or threw a couple punches, but he was suspended until June 2019. Got a fight in November 2019 and lost triangle choke to David Zawada. And I actually do remember that, yeah, because they were hyping him up. Last name Nurmagomedov and got triangle choked. He's getting another chance here against a non-Wikipedia Jared Gooden.
I like all the Nurmagomedovs. I just love all of like Khabib's like clansmen.
You know what they're gonna do. They have a game plan. They're coming in with that game plan. You just know what's coming. So you're Jiu-jitsu better be on point, and this guy's been triangle before, and Jared Gooden better be working on that triangle.
Yes. Yeah. Other than that, like the whole, yeah. It's funny how we know everybody in the main card besides the last fight. And then the prelims and the early prelims are like, yeah, it's just a whole bunch of brand new up and coming fighters. But yeah, like I said, that's the reason why I watch prelims. Because I remember when I didn't, John Jones popped out of nowhere and beat up Shogun Rua, and I was like,
Right.
who's this guy?
Yeah.
So I make sure I just watch all the prelims now.
Gotta watch the prelims, learn these. These no Wikipedias could become champions in a few years. They always surprise you. It's always a good thing to watch the prelims. But also back in the day when we're talking about that happened, there was way less fighters. So if you didn't know a name in the prelims, you were going to know them probably by the next fight card. And back in the day, we could pronounce and knew about every fighter in the prelims. Probably 10 years ago. I mean, it was easy to keep up with. Fights were probably once a month at the most. And
I remember you had to buy the DVD to see the prelims at one point.
Yes, that is true. Yep. There was a time where we couldn't even see the early prelims and maybe one fight of the preliminary card, and it'd be on Facebook. And
I have a couple Pride DVDs, and they call them dark matches. There'll be like 3 or 4 matches on there that like they just wouldn't record live.
Right. So yeah, we'd have to watch pay-per-view, and then like the next month when the DVD come out, we'd get it and then watch the prelims and learn about all the up-and-coming fighters. Someone have a good performance and they might get their finish, might get posted to the main card, and you'd be like, whoa, we got to watch that whole fight. Have to wait for the DVD.
If you remember back in the day when let's say the main card went too fast, too many finishes.
Yeah, they would replay a prelim. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, that probably happened. I don't know, till about 5 years ago, maybe till the Fox deal. It happened for quite a while, and then they just stopped doing that. But yeah, that's how hard it used to be to watch prelims. But if someone had a great performance on a prelim, you would know about them their next fight for sure. Yeah, you'd see the highlights. They play it on the main card. We'd get the DVDs, look them up, see if they had any good fights before UFC.
Now it's fight nights like every other week. It's fight nights every other week. Where
pretty hard to keep up with. That's after probably a good year of doing this podcast, we'll probably be pretty, it'll help me catch up with these fighters because there's just so many cards. It's hard for me to catch up with all the prelims and stuff. But having to talk about them, I'll catch up pretty fast, and we'll see some names arise hopefully from these people. Don't even have Wikipedia pages, which is pretty crazy being UFC. No Wikipedia page these days, but interesting, especially on the main card. Jamie Malarkey.
The only way I see
the main card.
The only way I see something for that was a fight got canceled, and like he's somebody from the Contender Series, like
that's a good point. Yeah.
Kevin Holland.
Yeah. I'm reading through the background, see if there was supposed to be looks like there was a Johnny Walker and Jimmy Crute at one point. That was probably supposed to be on the main card, but that got rescheduled. And now Crute is going to fight Anthony Smith at UFC 261. So yeah, Johnny Walker pulled out with a chest injury. So yeah, that was supposed to be the other main card fight probably.
Okay.
Walker versus Crute. And now we have Worthy versus Jamie Malarkey. But anyway, it's still a good card. It's 4 fights strong up top heavy card, but that top is extra heavy. Heavyweight title fight, featherweight championship fight. It's a good night of fights. And that will be next Saturday. Creel, you got any last thoughts about this card?
Let's go Francis Ngannou. Like I'm ready to see a new face. It feels like between DC and Stipe, like it feels like Stipe won that belt like 7 years ago.
Right. Yeah. He seems like he's been champion a long time. He's avenged the DC loss. So we'll see if he beats Ngannou. I mean, just retire and be the greatest heavyweight of all time. You are truly the greatest, beating Ngannou twice, and then coming off the victories over DC. What a career that would be. Yeah, he would definitely fight Jones though, for sure. So we would have the greatest light heavyweight champion versus the heavyweight champion, propelling one or the other into the number one GOAT spot. So,
that's pretty much the only reason why I want to see Stipe win.
Right.
Is to see
he should rightfully be fighting Jones.
Like I think I'd rather either no matter what between Francis Stipe, it's still gonna make money against John Jones.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be a lot better technical match with
with Miocic.
Yeah, because I could 100% see like John Jones taking down Francis and like armbar him or something.
Yeah. And that could definitely happen. Stipe would be a much better matchup against Jones.
Yeah.
Ngannou though, if he rolls through Stipe, him and Jones going to be real hard to break down. It's going to be a very, very interesting fight. But yeah, like you said, it could easily, leg sweep, armbar. Jones is the champion. But that's for a different day. You got any final thoughts before we close this podcast?
No, just I'm just getting ready for the prelims.
Yep, I've got a detail I got to go do. Got to clean a motorcycle. Yeah, so I'll probably gonna miss some prelims. Depends on how fast to get that done. But yep, that's all I got. That's all we got. You can catch us on YouTube. This one was a weird one. We had an interruption. I had to take pause for the calls. But I think we did it, Creo. I think we did it. We had
Awesome.
a bunch of news. It was hard to keep up. Bunch of big news week this week. I mean, Khabib retiring, fight announcements, Holland, Brunson tonight, Ngannou, Miocic next week. A bunch of news this week, so it was a big episode.
So hopefully we see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, on the reaction show. Tune in. We'll be giving our reactions to the results of Brunson versus Holland. It's gonna be a good night of fights, and hopefully we'll have a good reaction show. See if our picks were right, and see if Holland moves up the middleweight division or Brunson is the spoiler to the middleweight division. He continues that role. But you can listen to us on Anchor Podcast, Spotify, still working on iTunes, not quite there yet. YouTube, like, subscribe. That's all I got. Creole, we did it, buddy.
That's right. We did it.
All right. We will catch you later.
Later.